liaison.
Yes, yeah.
Yes,
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to meeting Handforth Town Council Planning Committee. Just a few housekeeping things. If the fire alarm does go off, it is not a practice, it's a real thing. Please leave by that exit in which you came in, or the emergency exits over here. Don't use that one, it only goes into the central court. Use the one over here, and meeting places at the front. Thank you. Okay, can we start with item 2124.1, which is apologies? Well, we have everybody here, so we have no apologies. Do we need to reiterate Councillor Talbot's apologies?
You've been granted dispensation until November.
So, right, okay. Item 2124.2, to note declarations of interest and request for dispensation to be given. Or discuss and vote on a matter in which a member or co-opted member has a discernible pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest. Does that apply for anybody here?
yes,
It does to you?
yeah, I've got, I have the planning application, the 2124.8, which is regarding planning application for Emerson's for Epsom Avenue in Handforth. That involves my work, so I don't want to be involved in that.
Okay.
And also a bit further down, 2124.11, which is related to Oakmere. I've actually received a letter to my house from Cheshire East asking for my views on that, so I prefer to just stay out of those 2 points.
Okay.
No, just no, Chair. We can still take part in the debate about already.
It's up to Kerry. Do you want to remove yourself entirely?
I would prefer to. Given history, I don't want time to make the monitoring. Yeah, thank you, appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that's okay. Right, so moving on to item 2124.3, which is the open forum. Comments and questions concerning items on the agenda can be put to the council by the public during this period. Matter which is the chairman's view reply debate and or a discussion will be referred to the next committee or council meeting as appropriate. The public forum is restricted to 15 minutes unless the chairman allows otherwise. Do any members of the public wish to speak? Yes, Mr. Small.
I'd like to pass a brief comment on...
Sorry, Roger, could you speak up?
Yeah, I'd like to pass a brief comment on 3 or 4 of the planning applications before us. A pair of them, that's 3659 and 3671, relate to the installation of air source heat pumps in Meryton Road. I have to confess I'm not an engineer and do not have any experience of the installation or operation of these air pumps. But I believe that they are a green way of heating one's home. The residents, the near neighbours of one of these applicants has concerns about the level of noise produced by such pumps. And the plans associated with 213671M seem to indicate that an air source heat pump is already installed at number 51 Meryton Road. If that's the case, I think it would be a good idea to get some knowledge about the amount of noise produced by that unit before making a final decision on that application. My next application is 4143M, which is the commercial development at the junction of Earl Road and Atkinson Avenue. I would quite like the Town Council to approve this for several reasons. It's pleasing that the draft heads of term for an S106 agreement include approximately £200,000 for improvements to the Earl Road, Stanley Road junction, which would, in my view, be very welcome, and approximately £65,000 for a contribution to public transport. On top of that, this development will generate still money for Handforth Town Council at the rate of £66 per square metre of retail floor space. Application 4282M. That's the proposal to build an additional home at 10 Beeston Road. This represents infill development and as such is permissible under the neighbourhood plan. However, from what I can see in the plans, the new house is to be built immediately adjacent to the roadway and indeed extremely close to the house which already exists on that plot. A number of neighbours have submitted objections on the grounds of problems associated with access or with parking. And I believe that HTC should oppose that application. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Does anybody else have anything to say, Mr. Moore?
Yes, Roger's point about the air pump. It would appear these are simply one of the ways forward to replace gas boilers. So it's a tricky one. If you sort of block having them, what's our alternative? But yeah, we need to hear one to get to the other way forward, backward.
Okay, anybody else like to say anything? No? Okay. Let's move on then. Thank you very much for your comments. Item 21/24/4 to approve and sign the minutes of the extraordinary planning and environment committee meeting of the 10th of August 2021. It's 2, 3, 4 pages long. So perhaps page by page. Does anybody have an issue with anything on page 1?
No.
Yeah. Page 2? No. Page 3? Page 4? Okay, can I have a proposal of those two? Okay. Councillor Sampson proposing. Councillor Smith seconds. We'll need to go to that. Please, everybody who's in favour of accepting the minutes. Thank you, that's all in favour. Item 21/24/5. To consider planning application 21/3659M, the installation of a digital heat pump, 59 Merriton Road, Handforth. I wonder if we might take items 21/24/5 and 21/24/6 together. They both refer to air source heat pumps, and therefore I would imagine our response will be identical for both. Comments, councillors, please.
This is the point, Chair. As I said, we've got two similar applications. The last meeting was deferred until we can get some more information on it. I don't believe that we're technically qualified. Well, I'm certainly not. I suspect that Cheshire East have had a number of these applications. Whatever we can comment on here will not have an effect on what Cheshire East decide. We can make a comment, but we can blind comment looks like it is. We don't know the pros and cons. I'm certain that Cheshire East officers will be familiar with what these things can do and the circumstances in which they've been allowed to be fitted. So, do we just pass it? I think that we will leave it to Cheshire East. Also, feasible.
Chair, can I just say, peaks and planes are replacing all the boilers, so they will provide King on block, because we're doing them in Nessie Green as well.
Oh, are they?
Now, I don't know whether on board or whether we're doing them on our side, but that's the next time. I haven't read it.
Well, the airport's similar to them.
Airports are going to replace the
I did read a leaflet about the heat pump. But unfortunately, I cannot remember the level of decibels that they claim it runs at. Of course, what they claim and what happens is not necessarily the same thing, is it? So I do think we are a bit short on evidence here to either agree with it or not. I mean, obviously, because we have to replace gas boilers, and it's either heat pumps or recycling or something else as another alternative. They do have to be changed, and there's no doubt about that. We can't stick to gas boilers, so we have to do something. Is it possible, Clark, that we can say that our knowledge is insufficient to be able to talk about?
Yes, and pass no comment.
Sorry?
And pass no comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, can somebody propose that, please, for items 21, 24, 5 and 21, 24, 6? Yes, Councillor Smith will propose that. So would you like to just run through the proposal?
That we are offering no opinion, I think.
Yeah. Councillor Sampson is seconding it. Thank you. May we take a vote on that? Those in favour? That's everybody, that's unanimous. Thank you. So we'll move on to item 21, 27, 24, 7. The planning application 214109 and a single story side and rear extension 7 Clay Lane.
Chair, it's in keeping with other properties that have already done the extensions and council. There's no objection from neighbours, and they did circulate to a lot of neighbours. I thought it was easy.
Any comments from anybody else? Okay. Well, can we have a proposal for the site, please? So, proposal there and a second then. Thank you. Sorry. Apologies. Okay. Take a vote on that item, please, all those in favour. Yeah, that's unanimous. Okay, item 21, 24, 8. I'm not going to read all through it because this will take you all day. It's the land at the junction of Earl Road and Exon Avenue, and it's demolition of existing buildings. You've all seen it. I hope you've all looked at the planning application. Any comments, please, councillors?
I'm in favour, Chair.
Sorry?
I'm in favour.
You're in favour?
Yeah, I'm happy with the local jobs. Local jobs are looking for food retail. Let's change it to non-food retail.
Yeah.
I don't know what the timescale is.
Okay, well, can I have a proposal then, please, for that? That's just been proposed, they have a second then. Thank you, Councillor Johnson, second. They have a vote on that item, please. Okay, then.
One abstention.
Thank you. Item 21, 24, 9. To consider planning application 21, 4282M, the erection of a dwelling at 10 Beeston Road, Handforth.
Yeah, no, comment on that. Where the house is, the fact it's going right next to the adjacent property, well, some of those houses, and already next to the adjacent property. Corner plot, they have access. They've also got no parking, they've got one plot off-road parking, I think. And there is a garages just behind those properties, which people run out all the time. The fact that there's someone coming out behind a drive that they're planning to park on the property. It's just the same as if you just look at the back corner. People driving into carriages, or people coming out of the drive. One of those where you mentioned is infill. I don't believe it would have a great effect on the current situation.
No. Yeah?
There's lots of objections against this, and major objection is car parking. And also, the plans aren't in keeping with previous property. And we object to that. I don't. They have to be in keeping,
Yes, they do have to be keeping. They have to keep the spirit of the, as far as I can work out from my training this afternoon, that is one of the things that they do look at, that there is a sort of normality to, that they all look similar. So you don't have something that stands out like a sore thumb. I don't know whether that will stand out like a sore thumb, but certainly looking at the objections from neighbours, I wonder, and I certainly have thought, but I wonder whether there is actually a health and safety issue on this because of the parking that will be taken away from the road because of the two accesses. And I wondered whether if they should alter the actual car parking on site to have one drive for both houses, trying to visualise the plan, then that would minimise disruption on the road. Because at the moment, the plans show two driveways. Obviously, with dropped curves, you cannot park across a dropped curve. It's the law. So if they have one, that I think might alleviate the situation. So that was my thought about the actual plan.
one of the objections was from the residents who said that 10 Beeston Road isn't clearly addressed. And you go into his house on
Yes,
the
I
same
saw
way.
that.
And I can see where they're coming from because they think that the first house on Upton Way is Beeston and it isn't.
Right.
So they've altered, or whoever has altered the entrance that was originally on Beeston to the back.
Right.
Now, I don't know where the front door is because I went and had a look. And it's very strange. And I don't really know how they're going to put a house in, to be honest.
That looks a very small space, doesn't it?
Well,
To be fair. But you've got to object on actual planning matters, not on, people don't want it kind of thing. There's got to be a good reason for it. And I do honestly question the health and safety issue. So I think one of my questions would be if they could alter the access, then I think that might make it more acceptable. However, any more comments? Okay.
In charge of something. Diagram of something.
The application. If you look at the plan, at the corner like that, you've got one here and then one coming down, which blocks the whole corner, doesn't it?
Or existing access to garages.
Where was the garages?
That's the plan.
Oh, it's the garages.
Yeah.
All be quiet. All be quiet. Yes, we can't hear you, correct.
Sorry, we're just looking at
The whole thing is a bit quiet.
we're just looking at the plans, and there are some garages at the rear or the front of this property, at the rear of the property.
That's a good sign. of the new build. There is access available straight from there. That's currently fenced on the outside and fenced at the rear of these houses. That's, as you see, that house there has a drive coming in from the garages. And that's what will happen here with space there to come.
I couldn't understand, where's their front door? No.
That's when the tents were put in.
I think there's an awful lot of confusion about these two houses and where they are and the front and the back door and so forth and so on. Okay, well, does anybody else have any comments to make? Well, we'll have to vote on the matter. So may I have a proposal?
Mr. Chair, which is what you said before, if the proviso is that there is, it's in keeping with surrounding houses. I think that's a valid point.
Yeah, so to actually put that into our, yeah, that's fine. So would you like to propose that, please? Somebody second it. Councillor Smith will propose. Okay, so we're going to vote on this one, but with the proviso, sorry, Councillor Smith, explain again.
But it's in keeping with the existing properties.
Yeah, sorry, that's very difficult. Okay, those in favour? Those in favour of accepting the application with that proviso? Those in favour? 3 in favour? Those against? 2 against? Okay, thank you. 21, 24, 10, to consider application 21. Sorry. No problem. No. Sorry. 21, 4370 M, 49 Old Water Road, proposed. Norman, any comments, Councillor, please?
The other property, no objection.
Okay. They have a proposal for that?
I'll propose.
Councillor Sampson proposes. Councillor Smith seconds. All those in favour? Thank you. Item 21, 24, 11 to consider planning application 21 3128 M. To propose a new external water storage tank enclosure to serve the installation of sprinklers in the existing building of the retirement village, Strath Lane, Handforth. So Councillor Saunders,
This should come under health and safety. If they need sprinklers, I have no objection to having sprinklers. Sorry, I said I have no objection to having new sprinklers installed because it's making the residents much safer.
okay, I have a proposal for that, then, please.
I'll propose, Chair.
Councillor Sampson proposes, may I have a second? Councillor Smith seconds. So can we have a vote, please, on the appropriate retirement?
In favour.
In favour? That's always one of them. Item 21, 24, 12, to consider planning application 21, 44, 14M, listed building consent for the erection of 35 square metre temporary summer house and typical garden shed to the rear of 187 Woodland Road.
No objections, Chair, although I'd like, if we support it, that how temporary is this house?
It doesn't actually say, does it? Okay, so.
It's temporary, that's what we can take it down.
Yeah.
Well, that's generally what the word temporary means. It doesn't look very temporary to me. Looks like it's got proper plans. So we're a bit confused. Okay,
Chair, do these, summer house and garden shed have to abide by the strict rules for a listed building? I don't know.
But where it is, it's already got, is listed.
say that again.
Where it is, where it's being put is already listed,
Okay.
and they're just asking people to be able to put that there temporarily.
So is it possible a way around, getting permission to put a insurrection inside there?
Well, I think I would have to question the temporary part of this.
I think temporary is a technical term, isn't it? In
It is.
in relation to what materials the roof might be.
All right,
So
yeah.
it doesn't necessarily need to be something that would be taken down necessarily. This is use understanding is the relates to the kind of materials that are being used. There's a kind of classification, I think, isn't it? I'm going to be corrected.
I shouldn't do this, but this is cool. Very quickly, please.
Very quickly, just to say that amongst the documentation, there are 2 letters from bodies based within Cheshire East Council concerned with conservation and heritage value. Neither of them have objected to this.
Right, well, I think we need to have a proposal for this and a second, and then we'll have a vote to see what happens. And then have a proposal, please. That's the Smith will propose. You'll have a second there.
So is this proposal to support?
Just a proposal to look at it, we'll decide whether we're voting or not. To look at it. Can I have a second then? That's a second. Okay, those councillors who are in favour of supporting this application.
Sorry?
We're voting now for those councillors who want to support this application. Those in favour?
I'd say, Chairman, given what Dr. Small has said about the organisation,
Yeah.
looks after us to building.
Yeah.
I'd be guided by that. I have no objection.
Well, I think we need to vote and then put some writings on there, don't we? Those in favour? Or in favour, those against? Okay, so can we take those of the small comments and add those into the comments to the council? Thank you. And the last item on the agenda, item 21, 24, 30, to consider planning application 21-459 to add a single story rear extension to enlarge the kitchen, dining, family room, study utility, ground floor toilet on 29 Rangeway, Hudson. Comments, councillors, please?
You people, regularly extending or making sure.
Okay.
And, it's APP,
Okay, they have proposed them, please? Councillor Sanderson will propose it, they have a second. Councillor will second it. All those in favour of supporting the application? Okay, thank you very much. That's the last item of the agenda. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, working one.
What's up with the electricity?
Yes, it wasn't me.
We have a fight with it.
They were actually letting me run away.
Second statement, yeah.
It was excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a sewer thought croaky voice, not quite a sewer, but hopefully you'll still be able to hear me. So just a bit closer, does that help? Does that help?
Yes.
As with the details Sue gave earlier about if there is an alarm, a fire alarm, it is a fire alarm, you know, so it's as quickly as possible. Welcome to the meeting of Handforth Town Council, 14th of September. First item, 21-25-1, receive apologies for absence. No apologies asked. 21-25-2, to note declarations of interest to request for dispensation to discuss and vote on a matter in which a member or property member has disposable pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest. Does anyone have any interest? No, thank you. 21-25-3, open forum. Comment questions concerning items on the agenda. Comment forum is restricted to 15 minutes unless the chair allows otherwise. Are there any comments from members of the public? Bob?
On item 21-25-11, the grant application for Handforth Modern Engineering Society, is that still going ahead on the agenda tonight, considering that the finance meeting was cancelled?
It should have never been scheduled in the first place. Our webmaster put both the planning committee agendas under finance and planning for some unknown reason. So there is absolutely nothing to stop it. I only put it on the main agenda.
Right. No, I'm just asking this because the grants application policy of the council says that it goes to finance first for discussion, etc. And then recommendations go to full council and on the outcome on the finance meeting.
The full council or the finance
We
committee?
are on the finance committee. That's why we did that, so that we have the ability, as finance or another committee, to make decisions without having to put it to an individual meeting.
Well,
That's all we want.
that's a bit confusing to everybody else.
I don't think so.
Well, it is to me and quite a few people. Anyway, that's by the by. On the grant application, again, I would just like to say that because there is a restricted covenant on Merritonville Park, the building of these sheds will contravene one of the paragraphs in the restricted covenant. I would think that the council should be aware of this because I know from past meetings that you have seen the covenant on the park.
Yes, I have seen the covenant on the park, and the covenant also says there will be there shouldn't be any tennis courts there, there shouldn't be of any sort. That's all part of the covenant. That's why it's not an issue that the pavilion was built, because that would have been contrary to the covenant.
No, if you read the covenant, Chair, with respect, it does say that buildings are allowed in the park for certain things under certain conditions, which allow the pavilion to be built, and everything for sports, that those are allowed in the park under the covenant. I actually have the relevant part of the covenant here, if you would like me to read it out.
Well, I'm sure it doesn't mention the train lines being within the covenant. Cheshire East allowed the train tracks to be built. They also have granted planning permission for the extension, the ground level extension that the group are looking to install.
But planning permission is something completely different to the terms of the restrictive covenants.
Which restricted covenant, which restricted part are you particularly interested in?
Would you like me to read this out?
Yes, please.
Could you, for my sake, could you just It's a bit louder, I'm terribly deaf, I'm sorry.
And I know we're all suffering with forced votes, etc. at the moment, you know, so I'm covered. Right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Right. That the council will not use the land hereby conveyed for any other purpose than as an open public space to be used as a recreation ground with a caretaker's house and all necessary pavilions, shelters and equipment for the purposes of sports and games which are usually erected on recreation grounds or open spaces to be used as such, but so that such user shall not be deemed to constitute a nuisance or annoyance under clause F, which is another clause.
You said there are clauses in there that have allowed the pavilion to be built in the other infrastructure.
Yes, because that pavilion was built originally for the park users. And it housed things like the tennis rackets and the sports equipment that members of the public could hire out to use and on the bowling green, etc., etc. And the tennis courts have been there forever because again they are for sport.
Do you happen to have a copy of the clauses there in front of you as well?
Which clauses?
The clauses that have enabled the pavilion to be built.
Well, as I've just read out,
That was included in
that was included in that clause because the pavilion was used for the use by people. And for shelter for the park and the sports users.
Yes, I was, sorry. There has been correspondence between HMES and Cheshire East who have said that this can go ahead. I think the fact that Cheshire East are happy for it to go ahead, I don't think we can have a problem with that. The fact that there is a covenant in place from, was it about 1911 or something like that? 1930, something like that.
1935 was a restricted covenant, but because it is a restricted covenant, it still is in force today.
Yes, but it also says in there that the caretaker park keeper's house, it's not park keeper's house anymore.
No,
It's not park keeper's house, so things have changed.
but if you wanted to, you could build with a park keeper's house because it allows that in the covenant.
Right. Well, I'm satisfied that Cheshire East have granted planning permission for this, regardless of the fact that they will be aware of the covenant law.
They are aware of the covenant,
So
but they claim
they
now
have-
an insurance
and
law
they have-
against it being challenged,
and
which
they
is
have-
interesting.
They have given permission, planning permission.
Only planning permission,
Yes.
but it can still be challenged under the restricted covenant. And what I'm saying is, and I mean, if I remember rightly, Councillor Sampson quite rightly pointed out a couple of meetings ago that there's no point in having rules if you're not going to adhere to them. And I'm asking our parish council to really consider this quite carefully because it could be deemed that you are supporting financially a project that contravenes a restricted covenant.
Yes, that's right.
Just want to read something from the, I believe you've had a copy as well, Mrs. Walsh, from the results of the consultation on Merity Road Park under the heading Model Railway. This is from Cheshire East.
Can I just come in here,
The model railway.
It's irrelevant, that is irrelevant
No,
to my point
no,
that I'm making.
No, it isn't. The last paragraph states, some people ask why there is no extra space or funding proposed for the model railway. The model railway is not a council-run facility. Any proposals for the model railway are driven by the HMES and would have to be agreed independently with Cheshire East Council. Any proposals presented by the group will be considered by the appropriate CEC departments.
Yes,
That's
I'm
nothing
aware
to do
of
with
that.
us
I'm quite aware of
giving
that.
them money.
And I'm aware of the planning permission that they've got for the things that they want to do there. But what I am questioning here is, these are going to be buildings in the park. And I know that they've got a lease that runs for 3 more years yet. But again, what would happen if the lease was terminated?
Can I ask you that, Mr. Walsh? What sort of buildings do you think they're building?
I know exactly what they are because I've got the plans at home.
So you know that they are ground level?
They're going to be, well, they're not going to be at ground level. Yes,
they are. They are going into
the.
they are going into the embankment.
Yes, I know.
That will be vacated the soil, and they will use that area there, and then they will plant, on the top will be a wildflower meadow.
Yeah, I'm aware of it.
Which is totally in keeping, and I see no reason not to continue this discussion about the application for the grant when it comes up on the agenda.
Well, I've made my point, and I thank you for the time to make my point. If you choose to go ahead and grant it, that is down to the council. But I've made my point, thank you.
Thank you. Any members of the public? So, members of the public, Roger?
Agenda item 10. I'd like to show my claws and my teeth here a little bit.
Can you speak up, Robert?
I'd like to show my claws and my teeth here a little bit. As I understand it, and please correct me if I make an incorrect statement here, that certain members or previous members of this council chose to suspend the parish council, the parish clerk. Subsequently, and this is published on the town council's website now, the town clerk was exonerated of any wrongdoing. I believe that this correspondence from Aikenshaw relates to the presentation of a bill to investigate the alleged wrongdoings of the parish clerk, and that the contract concerned was signed by one member of the parish council, but not by any other member of the parish council, and indeed not by the parish clerk. Therefore, I don't think that any bill presented by Aikenshaw for that purpose is the responsibility of this council and should be referred back to Mr. Tolliver.
Thank you. Any more comments? Comment? No? Just want to do about the same thing?
Yeah.
Not the same things that the HMS?
No.
Okay.
No, it's about the minutes of the 13th of July, the Part B meeting. I noticed on the minutes that have been published on the website, there's no minutes from that separate minutes from that meeting. There's just a piece in the minutes of the main council meeting that there are two applicants for co-option for Southport.
Yeah, and then we held a Part B meeting to decide that, and that's what is being how do you approved this evening, ratified this
Yes,
evening.
but are there any minutes for the first meeting?
Yeah, they're on the website, aren't they?
No.
Oh, wait a minute, yes there is. Yes, this is it. Sorry, no, this is it. We did the Part B first. Yeah, we did the Part B first.
Agenda items. The one on the 13th of July.
Yeah, we've already agreed the Part A side of it.
But it was two separate meetings.
It was, and this is the Part B side of it.
No, I'm just asking why there weren't separate minutes for the first meeting that all councillors were summoned to.
But there are.
No, there are no minutes published for the Part B meeting.
Well, we're agreeing the Part B meeting at this meeting.
That's the.
So what's missing?
There were two meetings on, well, there were a few meetings on
Yeah.
that evening. And the Part B meeting
Yeah.
was prior to the main whole council meeting.
Yeah.
It was where the co-options were being decided. So there's minutes published for the extraordinary meeting on the 10th of August, and there's minutes published for all other meetings, but there's no separate minutes for the meeting where Part B
Because they're being ratified now at this meeting.
It's an agenda item this evening to ratify these minutes. That's why they've not been published yet to the public. It's the same thing that happens every month. Does that answer your question?
Well, not really, but it probably will do as the meeting progresses.
Yes, when we agree the minutes. Yes. Roger, is there a quick one?
Very quick. Agenda item 20. Can I ask whether the clerk circulated councillors with some notes about a potential letter to the police commissioner about the A34? Thank you, that's all I think.
Yes. 21-25-4, to approve and sign the minutes of the Handforth Town Council meeting of 13th of July 2021. Does anybody have any issues with the minutes?
Only you four can vote.
That's anyone have any queries now? So can I have a proposal to accept those minutes? All those in favour?
Yeah.
Right, so 21-25-5, to approve and sign the minutes of the Handforth Town Council meeting the 10th of August 2021. Does anyone have any issues with the minutes? No? Thank you. A proposal to accept the minutes, please. Second. Thank you. The vote, all those in favour, please. Yes, thank you. Item 21-25-6. Do you have a report from PC yourself?
No, sorry, he must have been called away or something, and he's not sent me out. He was going to come, I spoke to him the other week, and he said, yeah, I'm coming.
And they arrive later.
Yeah, yeah.
21-25-7. Approve and sign the order of payments September 2021. Does anyone have any queries on the items? No. Can I have a proposal to accept order of payments for September? Second. Vote in favour? Unanimous. Item 21. Item 21-25-8. To agree the cost of the proposed traffic management scheme for the proposed Bluesville Road for the 2021 Remembrance Day Parade up to the value of £2,500. I have a situation here right now that this year that the police are no longer going to manage the traffic on Remembrance Sunday. Therefore, we've gone out to a contractor who have given a price which the 2,500 is a maximum. It is less than that, and I'll point out that it works out costing about 58 pence per household in Handforth. Does anyone have any comments?
I'd just like to say that I think we should, there's no question about agreeing this as far as I'm concerned, because it's the one main event in Handforth where everybody turns out and they expect us to step up and provide the parade that they want.
So we've been asked that from next year onwards that the town council organises the whole event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm fully in support of them.
I just want to make sure everyone heard that as from next year, the town council will be controlling the whole of the Remembrance Day event and the Wall Warrant. Will be taken under the council's stewardship. So can I have a proposal to accept as it reads? Yeah. And second? Thank you. Thank you. Can I vote in favour? Thank you very much. 21-25-9, similar motion to agree the cost of up to £400 to purchase additional lamp post poppies for Handforth Village for Remembrance Sunday. A lot of the properties that have been up a couple of years now, whether it worse for worse, some are broken, some are damaged, some get vandalised, unfortunately, and these are to replace on an ongoing basis. And again, it is only up to £400.
Yeah.
In order to give the clerks and leeway and being able to get them a good price. Also, proposal to proposal and I'll secondly. And the votes, those in favour, please. Thank you. Okay, now, just bear with me a second because I have some information that I just need to get hold of. Now, motions to discuss the recent correspondence from Handforth regarding a contract entered into by the Council of Tolver in January 2021. As was mentioned there by Roger, the three members of the council who are no longer here, Tolver, Bruton, did suspend the clerk for what was found to be doing the job correctly and legally. And the problem was that as it wasn't as those three councils wished him to do that job, he has, again, been totally exonerated by an investigation at Cheshire Council. A couple of weeks, a little while back, we got a letter from Angel, their credit control department, and they were complaining that the money for a contract had not been received. I think for a couple of three payments that they missed. Amount of £299.34. Just a minute, I'm just trying to agree with using this thing. I just want to get the correct document. Yes, we had a discussion with the credit controller, myself and the clerk, and we requested that they send a copy of the contract. One that we'd already had received by email was a scanned copy, which is unreadable. We requested that they send a blank copy, but with the elements that we had, that this contract was supposed for, filled in. They sent us a blank copy of the actual contract. So we've not actually seen, in any great accuracy, what the elements of this contract were for. What we do know is that in the meeting of the 4th of November of the Employment Committee, there was agreed by the majority by using the chair's vote, that a company called CH&I would be contacted to ask for them to do an investigation into the fire. That was, as I say, in January, and there was a meeting on the 18th of January, which was a closed meeting, and it was attended by Councillors Burkle, Brewerton, Tolbert, and Moore, Sampson, and myself. When we attended this meeting, we found out that they had not approached CH&I. I was made aware by Councillor Brewerton said that they had not come forward. That wasn't actually true, because I phoned them earlier in the week and they declined to get involved in investigating the fire. Now, during that meeting, which started half an hour late, because we three were not able to get into the meeting because the meeting was already taking place at the time that we were due to be there. Well, it said on Zoom, it said the person concerned is already in the meeting, so the council told was already in the meeting. When we got into the meeting eventually at 8 o'clock, there was a stranger there, a gentleman from Avonshaw, company where we concerned. Apparently this meeting, which took place on a Monday, we asked how long have they been in touch with Avonshaw. They got in touch with him on the Friday before, when CH&I declined to get involved in any investigation. During that meeting, on a number of occasions, we three councillors requested that we be given full details of what had transpired. That wasn't forthcoming. Comments and requests that we made were left unanswered. Fortunately, I recorded this meeting on my phone, and I produced a set of real minutes from that recording, which I have to hand. These contradict the minutes that Councillor Tolbert actually brought to the council a couple of meetings ago. What I will do now, though, is make you aware that after that meeting, there was a freedom of information request from a journalist from one of the London papers. That freedom of information response through some quite interesting information. Bear in mind that we don't believe that Handforth Town Council has any responsibility towards this contract whatsoever. What I will now just make you aware of is some of the comments that have been made by Messrs. Brewerton, Talbot, and Burkill. What happened was, the actual emails that this journalist received were listed, were actually emails from those three councillors. And they discussed the meeting, but I'll just start off at just a general point where Councillor Solver states, "You, Alec, were acting as clerk for that meeting but haven't yet written up the minutes. Therefore, we three, the only councillors that know of the existence of the contract, or indeed any of the other resolutions made at that meeting. In front of all, I told Avonshaw that because we did not have sure access to HPC's bank account, I would guarantee that payments would be made by myself until such time as we could get the chequebook. This was because of the urgency of getting things done and the fact that Ashley would not release the chequebook and other financial details or needed things done quickly. I would point out that Ashley was on suspension at that time. And he, on the advice of two professional bodies, was advised not to give up any documentation, laptop, PIN numbers to anyone else unless he had had his employment terminated. He would have been breaking the law if he had come forth with those items. So again, he was doing his job legally as required. Paragraph after that is that after that, of course, and this is still Councillor Talbot speaking, to both Alec Bruton and Barry Burkill. After that, of course, was when the service we thought we were getting from Avonshaw turned out to be nothing like we all expected. So action wasn't taken against Ashley. This takes us to mid-February. Since then, we've been unable to enforce anything at HBC because neither you nor Barry has been able or willing to appear at HBC meetings. And you still haven't written up the minutes, as far as I'm aware. The last possible time we have to hold an HBC meeting where we can be guaranteed to pass it for approval is up until the by-election in May. There is a regular meeting planned for the 20th of April. I would expect that what Councillor Tolver is referring to is the fact that there will be 3 votes here and 3 votes on this table, and he would have used his casting vote, which is what I believe he was discussing. One of the other elements is that I was asking Councillor Tolver if he knew of Councillor Bruton's resignation, because a member of the public who was on Hope Avenue had made us aware that he had resigned. Councillor Tolver has not made anyone aware of this. There are 5 instances by Councillor Bruton and 2 instances by Councillor Tolver within these emails where they discussed the fact that he had resigned, but did it incorrectly. He sent a resignation to the monitoring officer instead of sending it to the chair. As I said about resignation, Ali, you sent your letter of resignation to the monitoring officer, but it's not valid. In the 1972 Act, the only way a councillor can resign is by submitting it to the chair of the council. So you are in fact still a councillor at this point. I also know that this is so from sources within Chester East. And so it goes on. There are quite a few. But what I think that demonstrates is that I'm not going to mention why I think it demonstrates. I'm just going to leave it out there. I will be publishing these because they've been brought forward as a result of a Freedom of Information Act by actually one of the Sunday papers in London, been brought forward by that person, who I can't name, GDPR, and because he's requested it and passed them to us, they are now public domain. So, which way I'm going to do it, I'm not sure yet, but they will be published for even Handforth to see what these 2 individuals were trying to do with a contract that they wanted to pass on to Handforth by council, which is Handforth people's money that they were willing to spend £7,500 on a contract to investigate a clerk who's done his job diligently, legally, and properly. But because it didn't fit in with their narrative, that's why they went after it. That's all I've got to say. Sorry for taking so long, but it is quite involved.
And Cheshire East Council investigating this?
There is a current investigation at Cheshire East, which I can't comment on content, but they are investigating
This particular thing.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're investigating it.
I hope they do. It sounds like a fraud thing.
It's, I can't deny what your opinion is.
I'd be very disappointed if it wasn't investigated properly.
I can understand that completely.
I might be a little bit out of the premise than you. as far as it's been explained, the aviation contract was in investigation, and were investigating whether,
That's
the
what,
town clerk had acted correctly or not.
yeah, what was said, just to explain it, is that there were a number of issues that they brought up that actually was wrong to do. One of which was incorrect use, I don't know the wording, but incorrect use of the parish council fund. Which what he was doing was, when the Danes Healthy Neighbours was set up by Councillors Moore and Smith, they needed a phone point for people to phone. So people at the doctors were given the phone number of the clerk's office, and Councillor Tolver what sorted that. That's what was considered improper use of the council phone. Because it was to access a focal point to say, to pass people on to council more, and then pass them on to neighbours. So that was the sort of thing that they were wanting to investigate it for.
It's £7,500 worth of contract.
The HR contact would have lasted 5 years.
5 years, £250 per month, including VAT.
Sorry, Chair, can I?
Sorry, so I just got thank you.
So it's just a financial, the 5-year contract, and that sounds like an unusually long period of time. But I mean, that's only a statement. That's not really a question. Oh, sorry. Yes, 5 years to me sounds like quite a long time, but it wasn't questions. I don't know the details of the situation particularly well.
Sorry, Chair, just to get my understanding of this then. So, they raised, obviously, they wanted to investigate the clerk. Would that not have been something that Cheshire East should have done? Or is there a reason that they wouldn't have done that? When you're talking about using like council funds and doing, anything, I mean, at the end of the day, the phone lines come down to, we pay that bill. Yeah.
We did put forward that if they wish to go down this route, if ACAS provided a perfectly good free service, and it should have gone to ACAS. However, I suspect because the ACAS findings are binding upon those that go into a contract, an investigation with this, that perhaps that was something that was not taken on board.
If you remember, the comment made by now Mr. Brewerton regarding ACAS was that ACAS are rubbish.
Yeah.
So sorry, when you just can't get your head on something because it's so unbelievable. So they entered into a 5-year contract to investigate. Actually, how long was it going to take them to investigate?
Can I just reiterate here? At this meeting, there was no authority given to anybody to sign a contract on behalf of what was then Handforth Town Council.
So have they received any money at all for this contract?
My understanding is that because the two of the councillors declined to get involved with paying for it, because they were expected it to be passed on to the council as a council bill, and Councillor Tolbert agreed to underwrite the payments until such time as it was taken over as a debt on the council.
And if this is being investigated by Cheshire East, is there a reason why Councillor Tolbert isn't currently being asked not to, obviously Ashley was suspended, would Councillor Tolbert not be asked to, take a step back while this investigation was going ahead, or because he's not paid for it?
Yeah, unfortunately, the only way to get rid of the parish councillor is by voting that, or gross misconduct, such as the found guilty in court for a crime. As we mentioned there. So yeah, potentially.
I just find it very difficult, having been on the council previously, and every time I put anything forward, it was scrutinised to within an inch of its life. And then I do recall coming when the council from 2019 first started. I remember attending a meeting where Councillor Tolbert was chairing, and it's regarding anything like green environment. And he looked at a number of £10,000, and when it was asked what was it for, he went,
What we actually asked him was, where we got that number from,
Yeah.
where's the plan for it? Where we got that number from?
he literally, I remember being in the okay, yeah, okay. Just wanted to clarify that in my own head.
But I will point out the reason that Ashley's camp suspended, the reason he was suspended was because what he wasn't doing was what those three councils were instructing him to do, which was illegal. That's what he was suspended for. Roger.
Thanks, Chair, for letting me speak again. I think,
Quick
I think members of the public might like to know that a hearing committee of Cheshire East Council is going to meet on the 1st of October. The councillors involved are Rachel Bailey, Carol Bullman, Margaret Simon. It's not clear yet whether that meeting will be held in camera or whether it will be held in public. I suspect it will be held in camera. They've also scheduled a second meeting provisionally of the committee on the 7th of October. Why they would feel they needed a second meeting, I don't know. But my feeling about this whole issue is that once Cheshire East make their findings public, then this council should write to Councillor Tolver and ask him to resign. And I think this council should write to Cheshire East and demand the immediate resignation of Councillor Burke. Those are my thinkings.
Something has to be done, hasn't it? This you here.
Could you speak up?
You have to do something for the folk of Handforth. And that should be minuted, that an investment. You can't let it go.
No, don't worry about that. No, it will be passed to those who do something about it.
Yeah.
This is what.
Just very quickly, looked into this, and I obviously don't know all the details of everything that's gone on, but from what I do know and what I've heard, I would think that if Councillor Talbot did underwrite this, if he guaranteed the payment, if the council, the town council, are not responsible for this and didn't agree to it, it's quite straightforward that you don't pay it. Councillor Talbot does. I mean, I'm not taking the blame, I don't know.
That's the problem, Mrs. Boss. He stopped payments.
So.
That's why they're coming after us. So I totally agree with you.
That's the only point I would like to make, as anybody else in the outside world, as it were. And I'm just thinking all this time and everything that it's taken up, and obviously our town council wants to move on from all the bad publicity, etc. We got earlier in the year. It should be dealt with quite quickly.
Yeah, thanks for comment.
Can I just say, Mrs. Walsh, the investigation has been taken. It's at least 15 months, and it's 553 pages that we have to trawl through. We got investigated, but the other three councillors refused, and it's been delayed and delayed and delayed. And my own opinion is that Ashley hasn't, although he's been exonerated publicly, I hope, he can't really move forward because there's no formal letter to say Ashley or Parish Clerk has been exonerated. Now, the reason why they took that action, and I will stand up publicly and tell everybody this, is because we supported Ashley. I was on the employment committee. Councillor Burke was the chair, and I was not told of any meetings. I knew nothing about it until a meeting happened in August. And I read out an email from Councillor Tolver saying that we need to suspend Councillor Ashley. I read it out, and they said, right, you've broken the Data Protection Act, and you'll probably have to go to court, and it could be a lot of money. So that night, I'll be honest, I didn't sleep very well, but I got up the next morning and I rang the Data Commission's office, spoke to an absolute wonderful senior representative, and she said, whoever told me that was rubbish. I said, well, it's funny actually, because the person was supposedly working for you at the time, but that's okay. So at the end of it all, Ashley has been exonerated. Us three did nothing wrong. We just supported him. We continually asked for the list of failings that Ashley had failed. Did you get one, Councillor?
No.
Did you get one, Councillor Moore?
It's worth pointing out that I'm talking about, I'll bring this to a close hopefully. The appointment committee consisted of Councillor Sampson, Brewerton, Burkill and Tolbert. Cynthia should have been privy to all evidence and meetings that took place of that committee. She wasn't. There were meetings that took place without her knowing about it. But there was one instance where she was told she could not have access to any documentation from the appointment committee unless she signed a non-disclosure agreement. That I'm afraid sums it all up.
I do remember, Chair, that you said not so long ago that you would welcome a full public inquiry, because as members of the public, we know even less than you know. So, of course, we can't sort of make any decisions as to who was right and who was wrong, because we're not privy to all the details, but it would be good if at some point in the future we will make it out.
I wrote to the monitoring officer's office yesterday, a few days ago, requesting permission to publish the report in its current format. I'm not had a response back from that.
I do have a question. Yeah, really very short. Councillor Sampson, you said the three of the existing councillors were investigated, and the other three councillors were not investigated.
We were investigated and we were exonerated.
Sorry, it's not really that you kind of implied that the other three weren't investigated because they decided not to be.
No, what I was saying, there was a barrister who was charged with doing the investigation. We three had made complaints about those three and their behaviour, what we just mentioned.
Yeah.
The barrister attempted to interview those three. On a number of occasions was fobbed off. One refused to talk to him. One hasn't completed to talk to him, and the other one has gone off on a tangent. We were also investigated. When they found out that we put a complaint about that, they did the same thing, complained about us. We have been completely exonerated. I can't say the same thing for others.
Answers the question.
Yeah.
Can I just make a point here, following on from what Mrs. Walsh said? Hopefully there will be a full public inquiry, and the residents of Handforth will get to find out how much this investigation has cost us as residents of Cheshire East, not necessarily Handforth, but as residents and council taxpayers of Cheshire East, because from the little I know about this, you know, it's been going on for 18 months now, and it's obviously cost a lot of money in professional fees and time.
We consider that it was a barrister who was doing the investigation, they're not cheap.
Yeah, it's just a Chancellor. I think with regard to this particular motion, I think that HTC might well need to take some proper legal advice as to where we stand on this. We know it hasn't followed any proper procedures. We know that no authority was granted. But I do think that having a legal mind on it, we do have legal advice, so it might be worth asking the question.
Yeah. So the motion was actually to discuss, we have discussed it, I think. As regards Avonshaw, because that's what we need a decision on, I'm going to suggest that we get in touch with them again and explain what, have you had your correspondence recently, since?
No, not since we spoke.
Right, because I think we're back to the.
They're expecting our response tomorrow.
Right, okay. Well, we'll put them off for another reason. Right, to them and explain that the situation is exactly as it was before. So that they should go and recover it from Councillor Solomon. Okay, so the motion is, do we need a motion for that?
Go for it if you want to just put some in, whistle down.
Okay, well, that's it. The motion is to further discuss with Avonshaw, Councillor Solomons involvement with the contract.
It's gone to now, today, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Sorry if that got a bit long-winded, but quite important, you can see. 21/25/11. It's just a recent application from Handforth Town Engineering Society for the installation of new low-level carriage shed. Everyone's got the copy of the information.
Yeah.
Consider it. Yourself. Had a discussion with the group.
With the secretary, we had a discussion with the secretary on Sunday. He explained fully about this low level storage, and we couldn't see where it would oppose anybody's skyline, and it will look aesthetically pleasing, and also don't be able to have more trains in the park. So I think the grant's application, it says they operate for the benefit of the local community, a miniature railway featuring a ground level track in Meadow Park. This facility is enjoyed by all ages and provides a closest to the park, with remote engineering in all its forms. And I was very happy with what Ian Mackay, the secretary, explained to us. One of my gentlemen to the
Well, I agree. Ian explained some of their newer members. There was a number of young people actually out operating the trains and working on the trains inside the workshop. He showed us a train they've got for disabled children, I believe, and the shed will help those pieces of equipment access the railway lines and why. Fantastic.
What are the whereabouts of the disabled one? Is that wheelchair down?
I think it's in the chair. People can ride on the chair.
Can I suggest that we do give the grant on the proviso that if it isn't agreed by Cheshire East or there is a problem with the covenant, that we have to let it go?
I have to say the secretary never mentioned this covenant, and also the recent survey that took place in the park about the business plan. Haynes weren't involved in it at all. They weren't asked to contribute.
There was a comment in the summary. Which
Any more comments on the application? Quite happy that it's got a full grant application paperwork, given full details of their constitution. They have, and they have been involved, things like 13 months, 12 months bank statements to show that there's been a cash injection by the membership because of a water bill that they received at this time last year that ran into thousands, which was as a result of Cheshire East not advising them when they took over the lease that there is a water. I think it's a fault, the tap was driven somewhere away for the last however many years, and they had to pay that bill themselves. So it's to show at some stage that there is a reasonable amount of money on the account, but this will enable them to do the job that they want to do.
It's worth mentioning the fact that they've already got funding from.
Yes.
They're part funding from.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. To the second.
Sorry, so Mary, are you amending it?
Yeah, I was just going to say, are we amending it as?
Yeah.
So, proposal to the second motion is for the format plus the amendment.
Sounds
Motion 21/25/12. First of work groups discuss the putting out one of the standing orders and recommending changes to the council. More.
Thank you. We have adopted, as the local model of planning orders. There are a few things that are these querying. They are on rules of engagement, if you like, and as such they need to be clarified. And there are quite a number of things that do need to be clarified. I'm very happy to work with Clark, go through them, and make the necessary changes, and then bring them to full council for approval.
Thank you, that's what it is. You're very good at it.
Sorry?
You're very good at it.
Are we including all those other motions?
Yes, we've got to put these in. So it's the.
Let's take them one.
We've got 21/25/14. 21/25/13. What's the amendments? 21/25/12.
Well, 21/25/14, I would like to put off the proposed changes until after a complete look at them all and then take them as in one fell swoop. I think it's that to do them peacefully.
So we've got to tie all three of those
So,
independent.
Yes, however, the motion 13 is very important because that
Yes,
is relevant to the 6-month rule.
yes, I looked through it today and couldn't find anything.
No, it's very strange, very strange.
Was it in the previous version?
yes.
Sorry, what was that?
About the,
I don't know.
No, it was.
I don't think it was it?
Well, it was in the original, but Tolga took it out, because remember when we were councillors, we asked, could they give a comment about their abstentions, and they said, no, we don't need to. So it was in the standing orders, and they amended the standing orders.
Mr. Thompson was
Yeah.
quite adamant that he wasn't prepared to give
Any
any reasons for
Yeah.
the numerous abstentions that were received.
So, I think.
Well, in view of the fact that you are actually summoned to a council meeting, it is a legal summons. You are summoned to a meeting. And it's only polite to say, I'm terribly sorry, I can't come because I'm ill. You can't come because you don't have a dart. You've got a dart match or something like that, that's the thinking. But if you're ill, you've got a genuine reason, then you simply send your apology. It's not rocket science, it's just plain good manners.
it's, as I said, it's a summons, it's not an invitation. It's not you, it's not a declining. how long we ran that one, actually.
12 and 13 you have to take together and defer 14.
12, 13 and 14.
I think you defer, I think she wants to defer 14.
Sorry?
I think she wants to defer 14, don't you?
Defer 14, agree.
12 and 13, 12 and 13 together.
Defer
Yeah.
14 and then adopt 13, hopefully, and we'll sort out the rest of the 12.
Yeah.
Before,
Look at the whole thing, the financial system,
so we have motion to defer 14.
Point on voting on the reason for absence, I don't understand that.
Sorry, speak up, Roger.
What's the purpose of voting on the absence and its reason?
It's a requirement in the standing orders on, so not on now.
Yes, well,
Now, that's if somebody sends their apologies, you don't just send their apologies with another councillor. That's to go to the clerk, forward to the clerk, and to give a reason. I'm sorry, I can't make it, I'm ill. I'm sorry, I'm my father's at the hospital. You can't just say, I give my apologies.
What's the point of totally voting on that? Because the absence has occurred, the reason has been
Because
submitted.
we can have the opportunity, if we say, I give my apologies and say, well, I'm going out to dinner with my husband, that's not a suitable excuse.
no, you don't.
Because you're summoned, you've got to attend unless there's an emergency or for some reason you are physically stopped from attending.
No. Yeah, I do. By all means, send your apologies to the clerk. End of. Don't need a reason. You don't need to give a reason. Well, I won't agree to that at all, because I don't think it's anybody's business why you're not able to come to a meeting.
Well, I'm sorry, the duly elected by the parish commissioners I think they deserve an answer as to why they can't be bothered to turn up to meetings. Sorry, I disagree, Councillor, entirely.
To disagree with that one, because I don't think it's anybody's business why you're not coming to a meeting.
I think that you'll find that all of these are written in the code of conduct.
And is there a case for if we have someone who continual?
We have what?
If someone who's continuously not turning up, can that be applied?
Why isn't told at this meeting?
What flows with, I mean, I don't have anything to hide, so if I can't attend a meeting, I have always communicated it with the parish clerk to say I'm unable to attend because of. I haven't just said I'm not attending. Now, some of them, like Jean Thompson, didn't attend, but she didn't give a reason. We didn't even know whether she was given a reason because actually had been suspended. Well, I'm giving you my opinion, Councillor Smith, and when you go to Cheshire East, you attend Cheshire East as a ward councillor, do you not have to give a reason?
No, I don't. No, I send my apology. No. And that's why I want to vote for it here. I don't think it's anybody's business why you're sending your apologies.
Because it could be a very private matter, couldn't it? If you can't attend the meeting, it could be a very private matter that you don't want to discuss with the world wide.
Yeah, it's nobody else's business but yours.
That's right.
This isn't a comment about making a statement about what the absence was required or not making it. But I do agree that it does seem like a little bit of a backward-looking item. For me, it feels we've got a council who I'm confident will turn up regularly. That's really the only point we make just argument on this one.
I'm sure you're right there, but if we haven't got into the story of the 6 month rule, then you would be in trouble because you've got no nothing to fall back on. If people object to the reason for absence, then take it out. Just so that people send their apologies and they are formally recognised. If people feel they want to say why they're absent, but I would hope it would be incumbent upon folks not to just not turn up at a meeting because they were at a darts match or whatever it might be, they were going out for the evening. It's a serious thing. It's not to be taken lightly. So if you'd like an amendment to the motion, then we can make an amendment to the motion that would make it more acceptable.
So, can we amend it to any councillor unable to attend the meeting should inform the clerk and chairman? The council should then vote at the meeting on the absence.
Just take out some reason for
Yeah.
substance. I think as Sam said, we're in a different If in a situation you should see that, I don't know, I'll pick on Kerry. You keep
necessarily agree,
should be asking questions.
That's I would expect that as well.
If you want to tell all and sundry that you've gone away or whatever, then fine. But if you
That's
don't,
fine, I'm happy to amend it. Can we,
Yeah,
have a motion amended then to
Yeah.
read?
Yeah.
Any councillor to read, should we put me round to read out the back, the clerk chairman of their absence?
Yes.
End of,
Yeah.
with that last bit.
Yeah.
And then the council won't vote on their absence of reason.
Well, they should vote on their absence.
Yes, we vote on the absence, but not the reason.
They have to vote on their absence.
We're knocking out and reason for this absence and reason.
And the council should then vote at the meeting on the absence.
just so you're accepting their apologies. Incidentally, going back to Cheshire East, we don't have a vote on apologies. There isn't a vote.
Well, if you read
Dispensation,
all the,
dispensation if you don't get a vote. To get dispensation, it must be a vote. I'm not here, 6 months rule. You
Oh,
must,
no, we're not talking about that, we're talking about the apologies.
yes,
Yeah.
6 month rule.
But there isn't a vote.
So,
Councillors don't vote when there are apologies.
So how can we have dispensation?
No, what do you mean is, so say for example, I've contacted Ashley today to say, I'm really sorry, I'm going to be stuck at work, there's no way I can call.
Oh, so you're
Or
saying-
just said, I can't make
But there
it,
must be a reason as well.
then
Because Ram says darts match. I know about health, you don't say what's wrong with
can we
it.
stop there?
Sorry.
Stop there.
Absolutely.
We'll read on that and, second comments. So, 21, just in a hurry, just, Councillor Sampson's letter's going to be here shortly. So, 21, 25, 13, with the amendments. Second. Second, no? Yes,
Yeah.
all those in favour? And we'll include 12 and 14.
Yeah, together. Oh, not 14, we defer 14.
Right, we want to defer 14, sorry. Proposal to defer, I'll propose to defer, 21, 25, 14. What's that? Second, all in favour? Yes. 21, 25, 15, motion to agree the revised accessibility statement for the website. It is a legal requirement, and effectively we just need to switch it on.
You just need to send it to the website.
Right, okay. Proposal, second. Second. Thank you. Those in favour? Thank you. 25, 16. Same as, part of the website. Okay, legal requirement. Proposal goes. Thank you. And second, all in favour? 25, 17. To delegate a public relations officer of the council from within, or bringing outside of the house.
Yes, I'm putting on the agenda because I think that the council needs to raise its profile. And I think if you have a dedicated councillor within it, or councillors working together, our clerk certainly doesn't have the time to do public relations matters. He's too busy doing other things. I think it would be good for one of the councils to take it up on and look at all the different ways that we can raise the profile of the council. We did raise the profile of the council earlier on in the year, and that wasn't a very nice way to raise the profile of the council, was it? However, it did make some people understand that the council actually exists. However, I'd like to see a much more positive raising of the council's raison d'etre. You know, let's get it out there to the public. We're here. We're here for you. We're here. It's your money that we're spending. We want to know what you think. I know they vote for us every 4 years, but they should say they need to be aware of what we're doing. So that's why I wanted to have somebody dedicated.
Comments on that?
Can I make a comment, please, Chair? I know Councillor Smith has a very active Facebook page. A lot of people are grateful for it. But a number of people don't have Facebook, and they much prefer to speak to people face to face. Now we have the opportunity when these leaflets go out for this survey for the governance to knock on doors and speak to people and maybe get to know how they want to for us to keep them informed, because as many people ring you, Councillor Smith, or on Facebook or contact her, where are they? We used to have, when we were in, when John was chair and I was chair, we had at least 30 people in this room, and people have been put off by what's gone on, and we've got to try and establish ourselves again to say, we're here for you, we'll talk to you, not just on Facebook.
Can I just say there, I don't just talk to them on Facebook. I talk to people all the time.
I never said that, Councillor Smith, but most of the comments that you put on, you say, oh, I've got, people have contacted me or whatever. Now, if anybody contacts me, I refer them to the clerk, because I feel that it's up to him to make a record of what people are asking for, so that we all know what's going on.
Everybody knows what's going on because it's on Facebook.
Well, exactly, but not everybody has Facebook.
Yeah.
There's lots of other ways to communicate with people, and that's what we need to explore. Yeah,
I don't think
I can get out there, but not to everybody.
Yeah, I really don't think Ashley can handle the number of inquiries that I get on a daily basis.
Yeah, but we don't know what inquiries you get. I was listening.
We're not talking about the inquiries that you get, are we?
Nobody's answering it.
I was, because I don't know what inquiries.
I'd be delighted if people were bombarding the clerk with inquiries. Absolutely delighted, because it would mean that people were taking an interest in how their money was being spent. I'd be delighted, and I'd volunteer to help them. It's all about openness, transparency, and honesty, and all the rest of it, just so that people know what we're doing. People don't come, they don't watch these videos, they don't come to the meetings. I bet there's quite a percentage of the population don't even know we exist.
Well, everybody knew all about the skip days, didn't they? That was all over Facebook.
Yeah,
With
Facebook,
yeah, but how else?
Certainly, the world doesn't stop and stop.
No, it doesn't, but
it's important. Yeah,
it is important.
but it's not the be all and end all.
No, it's not.
But there is no intention to stop discussions with, when people know talk things on Facebook, is there?
No.
That's not the
No,
same.
no,
Yeah, well,
It's just not gonna be.
in addition,
Yeah.
brainstorms and maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem is, when we've sent newsletters out in the past, the last one that we sent out was done by a working group, which included myself, not as a councillor, and other members of the public. By the time it was produced and distributed, it was out of date. So newsletters aren't the be all and end all. They're good for giving people details of contacts and, you know, what they can do if they've got potholes or whatever, where they can report things to. But as far as day-to-day running of Handforth Town Council, it was out of date.
Can I make a suggestion? We're going to be putting out a leaflet to all Handforth. Don't want to dilute what the message will be on that. What is it feasible to have another small leaflet asking everybody how would they prefer to be made aware of what council is doing?
I think that's a separate exercise.
Well, it's a great story. My husband and I sat down and brainstormed it. We came up with a full page of ideas of how we could contact our members of the public.
And asking what they like.
Well, you're into people don't read leaflets and stuff like that. They're not, you know, I think you're asking too much. The important thing right at this moment in time is we deal with the governance issue. And at the same time that we're doing that, we need to raise the profile. In order to do that, we need somebody who has a handle on it all in the council, just to keep the track and keep us all abreast of what's going on. And that's
I think the virtual map is a very sound idea. I mean, Councillor Sullivan and myself had a really good chat about this we recently, probably since this on the agenda, and it was both completely agree with the intent of kind of increasing the profile and increasing our ability to communicate with people at Handforth. I think the idea of a public relations officer potentially needs a bit more definition, and what you're talking about within the working group to look at the mechanisms of how we communicate. We probably is the right way through initially and try and work out how we're going to do all this. What Councillor Smith mentioned there about the newsletter and needing to get approved, if it's anything that is a formal, and this was really your point, Councillor Sullivan, actually, wasn't it? If it's a formal statement about anything that's at all contentious, then actually we need to have a process in place that gets the whole council on board with that statement before it goes out, because otherwise the council that makes it ends up being completely exposed. I'm quite
happy to let's say, let's see how it goes. Let's see what can be done. You want to pass your list of goodies to the two individuals on the link. If that's acceptable.
Yeah. What does Brumslow Town Council do? How do they get their name on there?
They pay for a PA.
They've got a PR person,
Yeah. On a lot of money.
Town centre.
And coordinate.
That wasn't my intention.
Not coming down here.
Chair, please now the excuse.
My orange person.
Sorry.
Yeah, also have a word with
Yeah, and I'll make it small.
Sam.
And also, I'll make a meeting through all your.
Through Charlotte and those.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think one of the items that is on the project list is looking at the website, and I'm saying it correctly.
Yeah, it has been changed, hasn't it?
What's that, sorry?
The website,
What about it?
the website has been changed,
Yes,
how it was.
yes, it's got a very similar drop-down menu type interaction now, as opposed to that awful centre of the thing that nobody seems to get around now. Have you seen that, Roger? Can you verify the new drop-down system?
Still don't like it.
Oh, God.
Well, one thing is the flashing images of the local countryside that go across the top far too fast.
Oh.
Far too fast.
I think so, sorry, I just want to say, rather than get involved in the actual discussion about the website, we need to discuss the PR issue. Will be a sound part of that.
Well, the website could be part of the working group suggestion. From my perspective at this stage is nominating PR officers maybe is a bit ahead of where we are. The working group should discuss what the mechanisms of how we want to communicate before we decide on whether we need a PR officer.
Yes, that's what I said. Assume pass their information to nominating, and you're still nominating. And I was thinking through that the other day.
Yes, well, that nomination was to do with PR, being PR officers, wasn't it?
So are you going to set up a working group now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that would work much better, and I think you agree with me, didn't you, when we had an in-depth conversation about it. So I wouldn't want to be responsible for something going wrong, and like, I just think it would be an agreement as a group. I mean, it doesn't mean you can't, like, raise a profile via the website, or like you said, there's lots of opportunity. Let's have a look at, let's explore them, and then we can go from there.
This is what I was saying to Steve yesterday.
Well, I don't think this is the time to discuss that, really. If we're discussing the principle of, do we want to have people, a working group or whatever. So, we've got quite a few other things to go through.
Yes, yes. So, working group then. To discuss ways and means of raising the profile, getting the message out.
So, amendment to the motion to say to delegate, to
Form a working group.
right?
Form a working group.
Yeah. Deal with matters, so.
Rather than bring attention to, Handforth residents.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
I'll second that. All in favour of that? Unanimous or minus one? Thank you. Then on 2518, to agree to ring fence 2,000 for the division budget line for requests from Cheshire Youth Support Services to support the recovery of youth services division post-pandemic. Requests item final account with frequently referred back to the council, amounts on the final account at the client's discretion.
This came about because I'm involved with the Junior Youth Club as a volunteer. And this came about because I was talking to one of the leaders who tells me when she came to do a requiem for all our supplies and tuck shop items, they'd all perished during the lockdown. So I asked Ashley if there was a provision for replacing that with money from the Youth Services Division budget line, and this is what Ashley suggested.
Simply because I've been independently asked by the youth services team for other items and other sums of money for various things. And I don't want to be kicking it back into the council over a few £100 here and there sort of thing, which we've already budgeted for anyway, so let's give it to them.
Yeah, before the lockdown, we were having, and it dwindled off when COVID first started being a problem. But at the height of the youth club, we were having over 100 children on a Friday night in this centre. So I really think we need to.
And they need food every now and again, don't they?
Yeah.
And they're doing events, they need this, they need that. And we're the first put of call, and it always has to go to council. and it always takes a month. It always, yeah.
I think
Please support this.
I think the good thing about that, a couple of food kids on Friday night. Between what ages?
Between the ages of 5 and 12.
5 and 12. You're getting used to the youth centre routine, and somewhere to go. So then when they get 13, 14, 15, hopefully they'll carry on going to the youth centre, and hang on the paddock. You know, so it gets them into a routine so that they've got something to do.
I think it's an admirable suggestion and support it for whole lot.
Yeah. Can I have a proposal for it, please? Second? Yeah. Thank you. Those in favour? 2519, to agree to use up to the maximum budget amount of 2,000 towards the Christmas tree, Christmas lights, switch on events, and form a Christmas events working group. Okay. Sounds familiar.
Again, I don't want to come forward back to council asking for a Christmas tree, asking for, you know, about the castle with the Christmas event. You know, we're having a Christmas event, let's just do it, let's get some things in there, and the money's there.
Yeah, there's a situation year before that.
Yeah.
Like a Christmas tree supplier.
Yes. Well,
Was
yeah.
a supply, and we had to be a bit creative about.
Yeah.
Getting on.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the old one, so that's why there's the, that's why that's £5,700, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
How long do we still have the contract for?
We extended it for an extra 3 years.
So,
2025?
oh,
Sorry, no, 2024.
Okay, so, have a proposal for that motion, please. I'll second that. Vote. Unanimous, thank you. 21/25/20, to agree a letter presented to the Town Commission regarding the A34 speeding issues. Red Dancers meeting in North Parish Hall on the 23rd of September. Did that been before? No, sorry. Misunderstood. What am I going to put it in?
Was everyone?
Yeah. So the developer of the noise from the bypass is racing, there are a number of deaths.
Do you know all that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The voice of Handforth Town Council.
Yeah. Draft it up,
We
send it
want
back.
something, no, that's- and we can put. Otherwise, is what, average speed cameras.
The funny about speed cameras these days, they don't install anymore, do they?
We do on motorways.
Yes, so.
Yeah, those of Staffordshire, it's all. What good is that? If you've got an average speed, because they will burn it up in between, the Tesco. And you might slow down, but they also do 8555, mention that as well.
Yeah.
8555, that does, yeah, a lot of traffic. We need some
So
sort of
bikers, present project, bikers, kids, young kids who go through doing this,
Oh, yeah.
wheelies to the village.
Unless they do it in front of the car.
Sorry?
Unless they do it in front of the
That's
car.
true, on camera.
That's as with the scooters as well.
Yeah.
They can right in front of them.
The group, isn't it, do happen regularly.
Yeah, same. Okay. Have a proposal for that, please. Second. Second. Yes, thank you. Motion all in favour? This is going to be redundant, isn't it? 21/25/21, discussion for. Oh, there's one else you got here.
I'll be very quick because I know what time it is at the moment. I've been starting to try to fill in one of the questionnaires sent out by Cheshire East with respect to the review of local governments. I would like to be able to send 1, 2, at least 3 submissions from my single email address.
House.
Yeah, my house, well, most importantly, John, my email address. If you look at the form, there is nothing, it seems, to stop multiple copies of submissions or multiple submissions going out from any particular email address. That's as far as I can see. I've inquired at Cheshire East, I've written to Brian Reed to see what the situation is. I want to be able to send at least 3 submissions from my email address. I've asked about that. The other thing which has cropped up is whether savings accruing from the merger of 2 different or 3 different parishes are pertinent to a review of local governments. And that's not clear. There are 1 or 2 nuances in the Cheshire East form about trying to do things in an economic way, but no direct mention of, if we can save money by merging this parish with that parish, then that's a plus point for carrying out the merger. There's nothing. I've looked right through the local government, the government's local government's guidance. There's nothing in there about that. The only word you'll find is something about council should work in an economic way or something like that. So I've inquired at Cheshire East on those 2 points. Can multiple entries be sent from the same email address, and is savings brought about by a merger a pertinent factor to take into consideration?
It's something that we should consider. So,
I'd just like to answer you on the multiple emails, because I had a situation some months ago on a planning application on the South Lane estate, where somebody emailed an objection from me as a councillor, which I had no knowledge of until I was checking the planning application. They also sent an objection from a member of my family, and when I queried it, because it leaves it wide open to anybody to send as many spurious emails as they want to Cheshire East in the name of anybody and everybody.
Yes.
And apparently they don't care. They couldn't tell me. I wanted to find out who the person was who was sending these emails in my name fraudulently, and it couldn't be determined apparently. So
The instructions
I
are.
think the only thing you can do is send 3 responses and see what comes back.
Right. I'm asked about the problem anyway, so
Just do it. Just do it, Roger, and if they come back, you can't do it.
Well, I want to send one on my behalf, on my wife's behalf, and on behalf of the steering group, etc., etc. So, well, I don't know what I'll be able to.
Yeah, but it's ridiculous that the emails can't be identified. I think that's a real failure.
I think it's a very weakly formatted review form anyway. Very weak.
There was probably the cost saving one there. So I think that is a great point to identify. I assume the cost saving bit would fall within there's the identity, and then there's the effectiveness of the government. So I assume it falls for Cheshire East in that second bit. But in relation to kind of arguments supporting the merger, the cost saving is the only one that I've heard that potentially has any kind of foothold with people. So I think we need to be able to put some kind of data back to counter that in relation to what a small cost saving actually represents.
That's minimal, because it's still the same number of people that need looking after. They need to change the name. It's now part of Handforth, Handforth residents still need the same sort of service.
The biggest essential cost of running this town council is sitting over there.
No, it's not, because he'd be employed by Wilson.
Correct.
As would the handyman. There's no saving.
That's
the biggest cost of running this town council.
Well, we can't possibly say that because we don't know if the town council would end up employing the airport for that length of time. They would have to do something there. Yeah.
So the administrative support
Yeah.
would essentially still be required in some form.
Absolutely,
And that's responsibility. There is no cost saving kind of obviously identified.
So are we agreeing then that abolishing the post of Handforth's town clerk would not necessarily bring much in the way of financial saving?
It's still the same size bowl that we've got to sort out, it's just that it's now costed differently.
It's not cost, it's
It's
a service to the village, like seven unpaid people rather than 4.
Yes, and what Matthew Wilson been taking such an interest in getting Christmas tree in Handforth
Correct.
and Charlie.
Yeah, it's service, isn't it? Service, local service, not.
Apart from Ashley, the other essential costs of running this town council amount to about £8,000, which is much less than the stipend and expenses of your conventional ward councillor for Cheshire East.
I don't see the relevance of that, to be honest. I did ask you it in my email.
I'm not suggesting we get rid of you, Julie, or anything like that. I'm just trying to do a comparison of relative costs.
Any more comments? No, that's it. Done. Receive notices and correspondence. Anything else, mate?
I think it's obviously okay.
Oh, so good, Ollie. Thank you.
Oh, there was one you wanted to put on. There is. Do you want to put it on?
Well, I haven't actually got the letter, but it was a letter from the wagon and horses to explain what had happened to the defibrillator, which they know about. Am I correct? Pardon? The Wagon and horses, and they loaned it out, and I can't remember the figures because I presumed that you were going to read the letter.
Sorry, I haven't.
But I just thought
I don't think she really wanted us to read it out.
People need to know, we've made a grant.
The lady from the Wagon and Horses for this thanked us for giving the grant to install the defibrillator.
Yeah. No, but check it out, it shows it's being used.
It's been taken out, not used. Yeah.
There's just shows the support, that's all.
That's
I agree. One thing that I have got to say, I did have an email from Bruce Morgan.
Excuse me.
I did have an email from Bruce Morgan about Forward. There is costing it down for the loading path, and the officers, forestry officers are reaching up there in the next 2 weeks to look at clearing the way so the path can be laid. And that's as much as I know, just keeping you all up to date.
You don't mean whole woods, do you? You mean Tank wood?
So,
You don't mean whole woods, do you? Because that's down by the River Dean.
Whole road.
I would, Paul Road
Yes.
would. You know what I mean?
Agree that next meeting, 12th October?
Yeah.
Just a meeting. Yes.